Hi guys, I've been requested by a number of viewers to give a bit of a layout tour. And as you're going to see, on model Norfolk Southern, mainly 2016, it was probably the period where there was a lot still on the roster that was interesting and a lot of rebuilds were coming online. So for me, it was a great time to rail fan it. Even though I live in Australia, I do visit the US quite a bit and do a lot of rail fanning of the Norfolk Southern. So a lot of this is inspiration from all my trips coming over and visiting the great land of the USA. So basically every locomotive I own, I actually have got a photo of it in some stage over the years, not necessarily 2016, but I am basically getting the fleet to what ran in 2016 and to the condition it was, like PTC antennas and things like that. A lot of it hasn't been done yet. I have a lot of the supplies to do it. Work in progress. Just to get the layout to this stage has been quite a feat. It's maybe small, but it's still, the workload is a lot. This end of the layout still a work in progress. The engine terminal. So basically, as you're going to see, there's a lot of baseboard still exposed and a lot of work still to be done, but yeah, as time goes on, I slowly work on it. I work in the rail industry here in Australia, and I sometimes I come home and I just have enough of trains. So although COVID, the lockdowns and all this kind of thing we've had in Australia, I've got a lot of work done on the layout and last year and a bit into this year so far. So basically it's a double track main line. It goes around the outer track, the through track where I run the longer trains that I have, which is basically the coal train going around now, and I have an intermodal train. The inner track I mainly run locals, a road freight that comes in, switches out cars, basically for the industry. So I've got 3 industries on the layout. So I've got one where you can see up the back there. It's basically a food processing plant where they get free tank cars of corn syrup and a pressurized car as well. I have this one here, which is basically, I'm not even sure what it's going to be just yet, but it has 2 box cars. And I've got one on the front of the layout here, which is going to be basically a sand plant. I've got to put an unloading chute in, which is basically, it's in the mail, it's coming, so that's one of my next projects. That requires, I do that shunt with basically engine, cars and caboose So because it's a mainline shunt, you have to come out of the yard, then push back to here. I have done one video on that move. So that's the front. So the back of the layout's the Fiddle Yard. And as you're going to see, there's the Intermodal Train. And there's basically my smaller, just local trains and through train. Yeah, just another view of the layout. So it's basically showing the front scenic side and the Fiddle Yard on the left hand side. Yeah, this is my second engine terminal, although there's 2 coal cars in there at the moment. Eventually, I've just installed that freeway point, which I'm going to put a couple more roads in. I'm actually going to put a turntable, nothing too flash in a turntable, more just toy, that Atlas style in turntable, just so you don't actually have to touch your rolling stock. You just adds a bit more dimension into your operations as well. Bring a loco around to the back if you need to turn it. Couple of different trains this time, the Intermodal Train and the second road freight. As you can see, the road freight's now in the yard on through track. Back here, just leaving the Fiddle Yard, I've got a set of points just there, which gives you the option to go via the main or via the yard. Another thing you're going to notice too, I don't really run sound locos, although I've got a Dash 8 squeaking away at the moment. It's hardly prototypical to anything, except probably sticking brakes. But for me, I'm not really a big sort of sound fan. I sort of just enjoy coming in here, putting some music on, or just let the trains run around and sort of relax. I do have sound locos, I do run them, but yeah, not that often. Kind of just enjoy the silence. Like I said before too, I do work in the rail industry and sort of I do work in loco maintenance, so I do hear the EMD 645 all day at work, so coming home you sort of enjoy the peace and quiet, so yeah. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed the tour, and if you like it, subscribe and for future content. Although I will be selling sort of and moving on sort of in the next couple of months, I'll try and get sort of more videos on, sort of might be a month or two sort of between sort of moving house and things like that, so there will be a gap in there, but once we come back and I've got the layout back together, hopefully there's more content. Thanks guys.